Good morning, gentlemen and gentlewomen. Today's topic is about population studies. In most economic systems or ecosystems, the community is made up of many populations, each consisting of individuals of the same species living in the same habitat and at the same time. In population studies of a habitat, we investigate the following: the types of species of organisms that are present, one, the dominant species, two, and the characteristic features of each population. Now, the types of organisms. This is a qualitative study which lists all the various types of population that are found in habitat. It helps us to work out the relationship that can possibly exist between the various organisms. Now, the dominant species in many community, one or few species are dominant over the others in numbers or size or even both. This dominant species often exert a greater influence on the habitat and on other populations. Populations and characteristics. This include population size, the frequencies, the density, percentage, cover, and distribution. Now let's talk about size. Population size is important as it affects the survival of a given species in an habitat. A small population may be wiped out by events such as fire, disease, unfavorable climatic changes. Okay? A large population stands a better chance of surviving dangers and unfavorable conditions. In addition, breeding produces greater variability in a large population, resulting to an increase in its vigor and hence its ability to withstand adverse conditions. Now let's talk about density in population studies. Density in population study is the average number of individuals of a species per unit areas of habitat. It can be used to estimate the total number of individuals of a population. Example, population size in an habitat in the following way: density times area of habitat is equals to population size. For any population, there is an optimum density that can be reached in a given habitat under the operations or rather the operating environmental conditions. Now, what about frequency in population studies? The frequency of any species is simply how often the species occurs at different sites in its habitat. And what about percentage cover? Percentage cover is the area of ground covered or occupied by a given species in its habitat. Distribution in population studies. This refers to the way in which individuals of a particular population are arranged in a given habitat. Generally, the individuals may be clumped, evenly spaced, or randomly spaced. The clump distribution is a very common occurrence. Clumping in plants may be due to factors such as favorable soil conditions, germination conditions, and vegetative methods of propagation. In animals, clump distribution, as seen in hares, offer protection from predators, and in termites, it is due to the structure. Evenly spaced distribution in plants may occur when individuals of a species produce chemicals that inhibit the growth of what? Of other members of a species. Randomly spacing it is very uncommon and it only occur if environmental conditions are the same throughout the habitats. One. Two, individual members of a species do not affect one another. Now, what are the factors you think that are affecting population? Population and habitats often show changes, especially in size and in distribution. These changes are usually due to the following factors. One, migration of organisms to other habitats. Two, invasion of colonization by the new species. Three, increase or decrease in birth rates and death rates. Now, these factors operate during what? During the seasonal climatic changes, changes in food availability, the breeding periods, and unfavorable natural events such as fire and drought. Now, before you move further, we have to talk about conducting population studies and the techniques of how it's being done. Now, I want to come straight to the conducting population studies. We cannot possibly carry out population studies on the whole habitat. Instead, we pick at random first several small areas of the habitat and carry out the necessary investigation. This method of studying the population in habitat is known as what? Sampling. To conduct population studies, we carry out the following procedures. One, you have to choose the habitat to be studied. Two, select the sampling method to be used. 3. Collect, count, and record the different types of organisms present. 4. Identify different organisms. Use a key where necessary. Then 6 or 5. Repeat the population studies at interval. Now, we need to move down to the techniques. And the techniques are involving collection of specimen. And before I'll move further, maybe my next topic, I will talk about the collections of plants, the quadrat sampling, and the rest. So before I move on, I want to talk about the techniques. Now, collection of specimen. The method of collection of specimen depends on the habitats being studied and type of specimens to be collected. Each specimen should be put into a clearly labeled container that states the name of the collector, the time, the date, the location, and the name or the code number of the specimen. Records of other details should be entered into what? Into a short data. Now, since the aim of the collection is to study organisms which can be studied in the habitats should not be collected, usually only organisms found in habitats which are difficult for study, like water, like soil, are generally collected. So thank you very much. I hope to see you in my next topic, which I'm going to talk about the collections of plants, the quadrat sampling. I'm going to talk about factors that are common in all habitats, like temperature. I'm going to talk about determining population characteristics frequencies, the density himself, and I'm going to talk about keeping collected plants, the method of collection of plants, the collection of soil animals, keeping collected animals, and the rest. So I hope to see you next of my topic. Thank you.